Good morning. Day 21. Let's start with something this morning that might seem like a simple distinction, but is actually, in my experience, one of the most meaningful ones in the whole landscape of the interior inner space work. The difference between being alone and being lonely. From the outside, people will observe and think, wow, that person is alone. That person must be lonely. They look identical. Same empty chair across the table, same quiet house, same absence of another person in the immediate physical space. But from the inside, they're completely different experiences. And the difference between them tells you almost everything about your relationship with yourself. Alone is a physical state, the absence of others in your immediate space. Lonely is an interior state, the experience of being disconnected, not from other people, but from yourself. The absence of genuine self company, the feeling of being a stranger in your own interior. Here's how I know that's true. You can be in a room full of people and still be profoundly lonely. You can be at a dinner table with your family, in a meeting with your colleagues, at a party surrounded by people who actually like you, and be completely alone in the most significant sense. Because the loneliness was never about the absence of other people. It was about the absence of a genuine relationship with your own identity. And conversely, and this is the part that transforms people when they really receive what I'm about to say, you can be entirely alone in a room by yourself with no one else present and not be lonely at all because you've developed a genuine relationship with your own company, because you're interesting to yourself, because your interior is a place you actually want to be. And that is what I'm describing when I talk about the capacity to be alone without being lonely. It's not introversion versus extroversion. It's the degree to which your own identity is a hospitable place. Loneliness, and I want to say this carefully because it touches something real in a lot of people, and I'm sensitive that I have been there. Loneliness is almost always a symptom of self-estrangement. It's the experience of having separated from yourself for so long through the performance, through the false self of maintenance, through the false self maintenance, through the invisible contracts, the inherited stories, that even when you're physically alone, there's no one home. Because the real self has been buried for so long and has stopped trying to surface. This is why some people find that being by themselves is intolerable, really. Scary, even. Not because they're like overly social or afraid of quiet, but quiet means something to that person. It means having to be with themselves. And the version of themselves they've been performing, the false self, function, managed presentation, all of that, that version has no interior richness. It has no rooted identity. It was built for an audience. Without one, it has nothing to offer. So the person reaches for the phone, the noise, the distraction, anything to avoid the silence, because the silence contains something they've been avoiding, the actual self, trying to be heard. For years, I could be alone, but not genuinely, not comfortably. I was the person who always had something going in my mind, something going in the background, something planned, something prepared. Even when I was sitting and thinking, reflecting, there was a sense in which there was something else. Music, engagement, productivity, connection, being available. And I told myself it was because I loved people or the work or creativity or engagement, that I was called to these things. And some of that was true. It really was true. That can be true of you. But underneath it, I was running from my own self, because my own interior, the part I had never excavated, never sat with, never genuinely explored, was a stranger to me. And being alone meant being with a stranger. Learning to be with myself was one of the unexpected gifts of the season between March 4th and April 8th, 2023. Because in that season, the performance stopped working. The noise stopped working. The distractions stopped working. The serving stopped working. I had no choice but to sit with myself. I had nowhere to go. And what I found there, when I finally stopped running and actually sat still, was not what I'd feared. It wasn't emptiness or darkness or the confirmation of every fear about my own insufficiency. What I found was me. A self, a real self, complicated and incomplete and genuinely interesting. A self worth knowing, worth spending time with, worth being. That discovery that who I was on the inside, that my interior was inhabitable, that I was good company for me, changed my relationship to solitude entirely. Today, I'm probably the most comfortable alone, one of the most comfortable alone people that I know. Not because I don't love people, I do deeply, but because of a genuine relationship with myself. And that makes solitude a resource rather than a threat. The hall moment, honesty aligns liberation's language. The hall moment of solitude is the moment you stop trying to get away from yourself. I've been treating my own company as something to endure rather than something to inhabit. That's the truth. I've been filling the silence because the silence contains things I've been afraid to hear. When that honesty lands, something aligns, the turning toward the interior, the inner space, the genuine curiosity about who you are and what lives there, the willingness to find out, the discovery begins. And the language that forms is the language of a self that is, for perhaps the first time, genuinely interested in itself. And that is the beginning of genuine solitude. And solitude is the beginning of a relationship with yourself that is not dependent on what anyone else gives you, or thinks of you, or offers you, which is the most stable kind of foundation that exists inside. So how do you build the capacity to be genuinely alone without being lonely? It starts small, 5 minutes of actual quiet. No phone, no music, no noise, no task, no book. Just you, present with yourself. Noticing what comes up, not analyzing, just being with it. Then you extend it. You practice staying with the discomfort that's going to arise in this genuine solitude. The thoughts you've been avoiding, the feelings that you've wished you'd outrun. But sit with them, sit with all of this long enough for them to say what they need to say. And then you discover gradually that the interior is not a threatening place, that the self underneath the performance is actually an amazingly interesting self. That being alone is not a problem to be solved, but a capacity to be developed, and one of the most valuable ones you'll ever have. So here's your homework for today. I want you to take 20 minutes of genuine, undistracted solitude, not a nap, not productive solitude, not meditation with a goal. Just you sitting alone with no agenda. See what comes up. See whether you can be with yourself for 20 minutes without reaching for something to fill the space. And notice the quality of what arises. Is it uncomfortable? Is it interesting? Is there anything there that wants to be heard? Because what you find in genuine solitude is the most reliable information about yourself that you will ever receive. So here we are, day 21 of 35. 3 weeks down, 2 weeks to go. Tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to talk about the sixth and final stage of the pathway, and that's calmness. And I want to teach this one very carefully because it is the most misunderstood of all the stages. True calmness is not passivity. It's not resignation. It's the most impressive and most powerful state that I know. So be well. I'll see you in the morning, and let's set you free.